Okay, I'm gonna unhook the engine lead.
Okay.
Snap the piece back on all the way. And we'll push it out whenever you're ready.
Test, test.
Loud and clear.
Loud and clear. Test again?
Loud and clear.
Okay.
Testing, 1, 2, 3,
Oh,
testing.
that's better. Much better. Okay.
All right, so what do we want to run through now? We started up the airplane. We want to run clock, radios, compass, 6-pack. So we got a clock going here. We got the knobs. It's also 12 o'clock. Radios, we can set up our radio stack. We'll start with number 2.
My voting final 25, Blairstown.
Make sure it's on Blairstown, which it is. Make sure the volume's up, which it is. We can pull this out so we can hear the squelch. We're on 2, and click again, and you'll...
Blairstown Airport, automated weather observation at 1659er, Zulu, visibility 10, altimeter 3048, weather advisories, wind 200 at 4, temperature -9 Celsius, density altitude missing.
3048? That's about right, because that's our field altitude.
Blairstown traffic, Grumman's crossing here.
Well, hold on. Make sure you're on the right frequency. Not always going to be on Blairstown.
Okay.
What's Blairstown's frequency?
123, isn't it?
123.00, yep.
Right.
What do you have at the top of this?
122.8.
Okay, so it's not on Blairstown.
Okay.
Blairstown happens to be in the standby window, so all you got to do is see where the arrows show.
Right.
Flip-flop, hit that button, and it'll flip-flop those 2 frequencies. Now,
there we go.
Now Blairstown's in the active.
Who's 122.8?
That's Andover.
Okay.
Flip-flop here is right here. See?
I got you. Yep. And who's 118.10?
118.10.
And Skyhawk on the ramp there. Moon is looking to get fuel. You guys ready?
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to move out of your way here right now.
Okay, thank you. Blairstown Airport, automated weather observation at 1701, Zulu, visibility 10, altimeter 3048, weather advisories, wind 250 at 5, temperature -9 Celsius, density altitude missing.
Okay, number 2. It's good. So that takes care of radios. Compass.
Yeah, just set my compass.
You're going to set your heading indicator. You don't set your compass. That's
Right.
a fixed unit. Cannot
Right,
be
I set
set.
my heading indicator to the compass.
Yep.
Heading indicator to the compass.
And look at the rest of your 6-pack. It's clock, radios, compass, 6-pack. Airspeed ought to be on 0. Attitude indicator ought to be showing straight and level flight. It's not. That's the turn coordinator you're pointing to. There's the attitude indicator. Right there. It's showing nose low.
Oh, you want, okay.
Yeah, you want to be
This
on the
was here.
horizon.
I got
Yep.
you. I wasn't looking for up and down. I was looking for...
It shows both pitch and bank, right?
Right.
So it was showing a nose down pitch. There you go. Altimeter set and shown within 75 feet of field elevation, so that's deemed accurate and in range. Let's just move a little bit here. Get out of this guy's way. Turn coordinator showing no turn except if we make a turn. Now look
then it
at
should, right.
Because that does not show your bank.
Right, showing
Show the
turn.
rate of turn. Okay?
How does that actually know our rate of turn?
It's a gyro.
Right.
Right.
It, right. Okay,
Sets
I
its
got it.
movement
I got
around
it.
the axis of the airplane. Okay? Heading indicator.
Heading indicator to the compass.
And vertical speed on 0.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, now you got another mnemonic. UF gets.
Undercarriage, flaps up. Gas on both.
Both in full.
Both in full. UF gets gas. Engine.
Yep, mixture should be full rich, throttle's where you want it, carb heat's off, and the gauges are all showing good.
GET. Oh, trim set for takeoff.
Okay.
Right. T for trim.
S, seats, belts, and doors, and then lights, camera, action. You could put a taxi light on, one notch out. You could put your navigation lights on, and you could put your wingtip strobes on, and now you're ready to read your pre-taxi checklist.
Okay. Pre-taxi checklist. Seat belts and harness, flaps are up. Heat, that's our interior comfort. Avionics is set. Transponder on altitude.
Yeah, we can leave it on altitude, that's fine.
We checked our automated weather. Altimeter is set. Radio we tested. Taxi lights we just put on. Brakes are tested back there. Attitude indicator test, turn coordinator, heading gauge, compass. We're good.
Okay.
Okay. So.
Blairstown traffic, Skyhawk on the ramp, taxiing to 25, Blairstown. What's this line we're coming up to?
Hold short.
Okay. Don't see anybody.
No.
I don't hear anybody.
Neither do I.
Blairstown traffic, Skyhawk crossing the runway to 25, Blairstown. Center line.
Yep.
That heading, the attitude indicator is acting a little suspect. Shows us in a right bank right now.
Yes, it does.
Should not be. Slow down and get on the center line. That stripe needs to be through your right leg, not my right leg. There you go. Now you're on the center line. Slow it down a little bit. Take out a little power. Tap the brakes. You want to taxi at the speed of a brisk walk. And then take your feet back off the brakes. You should just be having enough power in to keep moving. You should be able to come to a stop by just bringing the power to idle without having to rely on the brakes in case the brakes happen to fail.
Okay.
Okay, stop in plenty of room before the hold short line, so no part of the airplane crosses that line, including the wingtip.
Okay. All right. So let's get up to 1,000 RPMs. Because we're still warming up the plane. That's where we like to be. All right. And now we're going to do, I forget the mnemonic, but we're good. Cigar. We're going to do the controls for flight. We're going to make sure that we box them, that they're going in the right directions.
Free and correct.
Free and correct. Flights for, controls for flight.
Including the rudder.
Right. Instruments for flight. You're looking at
controls for flight, controls for the engine.
Okay.
Now instruments for flight.
Instruments for flight. Looking at our 6-pack.
Yep. Airspeed ought to be on 0. Attitude indicator is looking a little better now. Just tweak it again. It might have just needed to get warmed up.
Yep.
Altimeter is set. Turn coordinator, no turn ball centered. Heading indicator is still holding pretty good heading.
I like it a little bit better there.
And vertical speed's on 0. Instruments for the engine. RPM is good. Amps are good. Suction's good.
Oil temperature's starting to come up.
Well, pressure's good. We also have this electronic battery gauge here. got good amps, and we got good volts. Hey, what's the G in cigar?
Gas. Gas set on both.
Yep, and adequate amount for the flight. More than adequate. A?
Area. Make sure the area is clear around us to do our run-up.
Yep.
Then our run-up.
And attitude set for takeoff trim.
Right.
And then R is the run-up.
R is the run-up. Okay. This come out?
No.
No, we do the run-up now. Go up to 1700 RPMs and do our magneto test.
Bring the yoke back.
Okay, 2 clicks to the left. Little drop, back to the right, 2 clicks. 1 click to the left, back to the right. And we're good. Carb heat on. Very good. And then power to idle. And we're running. Okay. So now we can put the carb heat off, come up to 1,000 and take out our checklist.
Yep.
Okay. All right, flap 0 to tow, no, run up. Brake set, fuel for both, trim for takeoff, flight control, instruments, mixture best power, primer in and locked. 1700 RPM, mag right and left, carb heat, vacuum. We'll take a look again. Amps, volts, oil pressure, oil temperature, idle, check closed, throttle friction, good.
Okay, good.
Okay.
So now we do a takeoff mnemonic. UF gets works, undercarriage doesn't apply, flaps, what do you like, 0 or 10?
We'll leave it at 0.
Okay. G is gas.
Set on both.
Engine.
Set for full power. Oil pressure, oil temp.
Trim.
Set for takeoff.
Seats, belts, and doors. Okay, pre-takeoff checklist.
All right, flap 0, mixture best power, carb heat off, pitot heat as required, heading indicated compass, doors, windows, transponder on altitude, landing lights on, probes on, time note, 12:10, brakes release.
All right, we're going to depart straight out.
Okay.
Blairstown traffic, Skyhawk departing 25, straight out Blairstown. As we taxi out there, we'll run clash, clock. We got that, lights. Go ahead and pull the landing light on. Action, we're looking for traffic. Squawk, we already have it on altitude and 1200. And heading check as we get lined up.
Yep. Okay, we're at 25, 25, 25.
Okay, feet are off the brakes, all the way at the bottom of the rudder pedals, full power within 5 seconds, looking all the way down the end of the runway, using your feet, small corrections to stay on the center line. A little bit of right rudder, get back to the center line.
Airspeed's coming alive.
Rotate. Rotate. Get the nose where you want to go. What's your climb out speed supposed to be?
71.
Okay. Wings level and the ball in the center.
That time on rotation, I felt like I had to pull real hard back.
Well, number one, you didn't have 10 degrees of flaps, and number two, you were yawed because you didn't keep enough right rudder in, so you weren't getting maximum lift. The airplane was it had aerodynamic drag going on because it was going down across the runway sideways.
Okay.
So both of those things are going to affect it a little bit.
Because I was rotating when you would say rotate, but I wasn't pulling hard enough.
Yep. Okay, landing light off. 71 knots on the climb. Let's hold that speed with precision all the way off. We don't want to burn off a taxi light or landing light. So we put that all the way off on climb out. 71 knots on the climb. Looking out for traffic. After you've done all that, if time permits and it's not a safety factor to put your eyes inside, pull out your checklist and look at your takeoff and climb checklist. Takeoff would be up here, and then climb is right there. And read them both because the takeoff has a good one.
Okay, takeoff full throttle, 22.6 RPMs.
Yeah, just that full power is fine.
Oil pressure, rotated 52, 60 knots.
52 knots, 60 miles an hour.
60 miles an hour. VY71 flaps up.
Okay. And then the climb out.
Climb out is 70 to 78.
You want 71. You want best rate of climb.
Please traffic, chopper 10, coming.
Power's good, mixture's good, instruments, check them. Taxi light is off. Flight plan, if you had one, you'd open it.
All right.
Continue to climb, left-hand turn, 10-degree bank angle, 71 knots on the climb. Looking outside, peeking inside.
To a heading of
120. 120. 71 knots on the climb, up to 3,500 feet. Looking outside to set our pitch and bank attitude. Looking for traffic, only scanning inside once in a while. See if we're doing what we want to do. If we're not, we go back outside to fix it. Your speed's a little fast, tweak the nose up. We want 71 knots in the climb, not 80. Best rate of climb gives us furthest distance from the ground over time. Fix it back outside. Look at the new pitch attitude that you're holding to hold it.
That's what I'm looking at now.
Retrim it. Probably need a little bit more nose up trim to hold it, otherwise its nose is going to dip back down to 80 knots. Let's go beyond 3,500 feet because I want to see a turn to the right. We'll go to 4,000. Right-hand turn, 10 degrees of bank, 71 knots. Over to a heading of 240. Looking outside, look at our pitch and bank angle on the horizon, looking for traffic. Everything's looking real nice. You can increase your turn rate to a 20-degree bank angle. And you're still not going to get there before you get to 4,000, so just lower the nose to hold 4,000, but keep the bank angle in to keep turning at 240. And you can level out at 80 knots.
I went past it.
Right, you're doing a lot there. I had you turning and leveling out during a climb. So 4,000, just fix it now. You know you went a little high and you went over a little more, so just fix it. 4,000 feet, 80 knots. Beautiful up here today. Set attitude, power, then trim away the pressure.
It's smooth as silk right now.
Yeah, beautiful. 4,000 feet, 80 knots, heading right to that smoke way out there.
Yep.
240 on the heading. Get in the habit of putting your heading indicator on that heading. Much easier to remember. It's kind of like a notepad.
Somerset Cherokee 19 Foxtrot, radio test.
Okay, 4,000 feet, 80 knots, very good. Go ahead and slow the airplane down to 60 knots, maintaining altitude.
Getting on the reverse engine.
Good. 4,000 feet, 60 knots, heading right to that smokestack. Pitch for airspeed, power for altitude. Like you said, we're on the reverse side of the power curve. We're in the region of reverse command. So if we see a little descent starting, it's a sign of not enough what?
Power.
Yep. You got a little airspeed to trade as you get back to altitude, so let that nose go up and you'll bleed off some of that speed. We want 60 knots. Just gradually let it go up. You can trade some of that excess airspeed to get back to altitude quicker. 60 knots, 4,000 feet, heading to the smoke. Looking outside, peeking inside. What do I need to hold 60 knots? Look at the pitch attitude outside. Still a tad fast. Pitch for airspeed. Tweak that nose up. You're going to get right down to 60 with no problem. But get some power in because another descent's cropping in on here. Get ahead of the airplane. Got some extra speed again. Use it to get to altitude. Nice smooth pitch. Don't overdo it or we'll be down to 40 knots before we know it.
Yep.
Nice smooth changes. Trim away that pressure if the nose keeps wanting to drop on you. Looking outside, peeking inside. 60 knots. Give me 60 knots. Raise that nose a couple of degrees and you'll get to 60 knots.
Okay, that's a little better.
Don't let that altitude get any lower. We want 4,000 feet. There you go. Don't be afraid to add that power. Right rudder keeps the ball centered.
Yep.
For left turning tendencies, want to yaw that nose to the left. You want to head right to that smoke at 4,000 feet and 60 knots. You can tell which way the wind's going. Just look at that smoke over here.
Yep. We're going right into it.
Yep. 60 knots. Pitch for airspeed, power for altitude. Just like in the glide, you're going to have to hold 65. Right now, we want you to hold 60. Give me a right-hand turn, 10-degree bank angle to a heading of east. Very shallow bank angle in slow flight because the bank angle adds load factor, or load factor increases stall speed. There you go, very good.
Rolled out a little too soon?
Yep, and as you got out of the turn, you released a little back pressure. Look what happened to your speed. 60 knots, 4,000 feet. You're a tad fast and a tad high, so how are you going to fix that? You're going to take out a tiny bit of power, because it's power for altitude, and you're going to raise that nose a tiny bit, and those two changes are going to slow you down and cause a little descent. There's the descent starting to creep in, and there's the slowing down. And trim away control pressure if you find the yoke wants to move forward on you all the time.
Back all the way.
Okay, well, whatever it is, it is.
No more.
Okay. The point is to use it. If that's what you need to hold 60 knots, just like in the power off glide,
Right,
you're gonna want to trim all the way back to hold 65. Otherwise, you're going to be off speed during the glide every time you look.
Right.
All right, we're all set up for a power on stall, so let's do one here. That's the one that is otherwise known as a departure stall. Happens on takeoff if you try to climb too steeply.
Okay.
You're going to exceed critical angle of attack. So we slow it down just a little more to get to takeoff speed, 52 knots on the inside scale. We're in the clean configuration like we just were for takeoff. Raise that nose just a little bit, slow us down as you do. Add some power so we don't descend as we get further on the backside of the power curve. When we get near 52 on the inside scale, you're going to bring it in about 2,000 RPM. You're going to raise the nose. You're going to keep the ball centered with right rudder. Otherwise, you're asking the airplane to spin when it stalls. If that rolls you to the right, just put a little left aileron in to stop that roll.
I got it.
Okay, we're on an east heading. Slow it down a little bit more, a little back pressure. We want 52 knots on the inside scale. Pitch for airspeed, power for altitude. There it goes. Now we're slowing down to 52. Okay, bring power in about 2,000, couple hundred more RPM. Start raising the nose smoothly but continuously. Right rudder to keep that ball in the center. Left aileron to stop that rolling motion.
Okay.
Keep bringing it. Keep bringing it. Keep bringing it. All the way. All the way. All the way. There's the stall. Recover. Lower the nose in a stall. Then lever the wings. Power. Carb heat off. Pull out of the dive. That nose needs to come forward the minute the airplane stalls. Back up to 4,000 feet, 60 knots. If a wing rolls, you just recover with rudder. Don't use aileron only, use rudder or coordinated aileron and rudder, but definitely not aileron alone because that introduces adverse yaw, which you don't want when you're stalled. You don't want any yaw. An aileron causes yaw when it goes down, right?
Okay.
You want to try that again?
Yes.
Okay. 52 knots on the inside scale. The heading of east. If you keep that ball perfectly centered, the wing it won't dip like that when it stalls. A little more back pressure. Slow it down to 52. There it is. Power to 2,000. Raise the nose, right rudder and left aileron to stay on heading and to stop that ball from being, not a lot, just enough to stay on east. There you go.
I got it.
Get back pressure, smoothly and consistently. Keep going, back pressure. Recover, lower the nose. Full power. Once you have climbing speed, climb for any lost altitude. Clean up the airplane if there's anything hanging out, which there isn't. 4,000 feet and 80 knots.
Traffic, 518 Mike Hill, helicopter just due south of the airport, approaching midfield, be turning south.
Right, go ahead and slow the airplane down to 65 knots, 4,000 feet, 65 knots, 060 on the
Clear at the radio track in Linden, and you got a Cherokee at Somerset turning left crosswind, departing up headed.
Before we do any maneuvers, we got to do triple ACT, which we kind of did, but we should verbalize it. Altitude is good. We got 4,000. So we're about 3,500 over the ground. We need 1,500 over the ground, so we got plenty. Airspeed is good. We're getting down to slow flight.
Is entering left downwind for runway.
Area's good. There's emergency landing areas below us. Clearing turns. Let's do a clearing turn. Give me a left turn, heading up north, and then turn back to the right as we slow down to 65 knots. Maintaining altitude. 4,000 feet and 65. Okay, it's clear left. Look where that ball is. You're using all aileron to make that turn. Coordinated aileron and rudder. Okay? Don't drive it like a car. Use your feet to fly. Okay, back to the east heading. 4,000 feet, 65. We're losing a lot of altitude because you never put in enough power as you got slow. Getting to the reverse side of the power curve. We need more power to slow where we're going. is. Okay, east heading 4,000 feet, 65 knots. We'll do a power off stall this time, which is approach to landing stall, but we're going to do it in the clean configuration because this is what you're going to be gliding at. You're going to be gliding at 65 knots. Get it to 65 knots on the inside scale. And then from here, we're going to just keep bringing the nose up with the power at idle, simulating an engine out. East heading, you're at 65, power to idle. Just hold the nose up enough to not lose altitude. Keep holding it. You're trying to stretch a glide. That's a cardinal sin. You can't stretch a glide. Keep bringing it. You want to stall. Keep bringing it. Keep bringing it all the way. Keep the ball centered. Keep bringing it. Keep bringing it.
It don't want to go.
Yeah, you're in a falling leaf stall right now. It's not quite stalled. Okay, recover. Back to entry altitude and 80 knots, east heading. It was stalled, but it wasn't, the nose wasn't dropping out, but it was kind of in what's called a falling leaf, which it just comes down like a leaf in a stalled attitude. But the point is, when you get to that point, how do you recover from a stall? You reduce the angle of attack back below critical. 4,000 feet, 80 knots. And give me a left-hand turn to a heading of
26 for Quebec, turning base runway 25, clear time.
Landed traffic, helicopter 4, 12 Charlie, main ramp, taxiing out to Alpha and Echo 4E, south departure, landed.
Players down, traffic, Mooney 6 for Quebec on final runway 25, players down.
Right, 4,000 feet, go ahead and slow it down to 60 in the landing configuration this time, so you want to add flaps.
Landed traffic, you got helicopter departing parallel 27, landed.
Landed traffic, helicopter 64.
Now we want to simulate a stall in the landing configuration. Last time we did it in the clean configuration, which might happen on a glide in an engine out before you deployed flaps. This time, you've now deployed flaps. Try to stretch a glide, and you'll stall with the flaps deployed. 4,000
more flaps?
Yeah, full flaps. 4,000 feet, full landing configuration, power off stall. So 4,000 feet, 60 knots to begin. Get yourself all set up and configured, and then we'll reduce power and we'll hold the nose at altitude, inducing the stall. Okay, the area is clear around us, 4,000 feet on the altitude. Put the heading bug on a north heading or so, please. Get a little more speed here, because the minute you bring the power to idle, it's going to stall if you don't give yourself a little more speed. So let's get set up at 60 knots here. 60 knots, 4,000 feet. And then we'll start the power off stall maneuver.
Okay.
60 knots.
Landed traffic, helicopter 643.
We're not going to get to 60 knots with the flaps down. All right.
Yes, you will. You got to lower the nose. Pitch for airspeed, power for altitude. You weren't going to get to 60 knots with the nose as high as it was.
Right. Now we're at 60 knots, okay.
Okay, smoothly bring the power to idle. Carb heat on. Smoothly and slowly bring the power for idle as you hold to idle as you hold just enough back pressure not to climb or descend. Vertical speed should be on 0. You're trying to stretch a glide. You can't stretch a glide. Smoothly, consistently, ball centered, back pressure, keep going all the way, all the way. All the way. Power to idle all the way back. There's the stall. Recover. Reduce angle of attack. Get the flaps out of 40 degree. Once you have climb and speed, start to climb back to entry altitude and airspeed. Climb and speed you can define as anything over 60 knots. 60 to 70 knots is great to climb out at. 59 is VX, 71 is VY, so anything between those two speeds. All right, head towards the Yards Creek up there. Oh, check it out, all the snow melted from Trinca.
Yeah.
You see Trinca Airport down there? That's Trinca down there, see it? That long strip right down there?
Clear.
Is that Aeroflex there between the lakes?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Trinca's the one right down here, see it? You can see a little hangar over there to the right.
Oh, yes, now I see it.
Some
Okay.
airplanes out there.
Yep, I see it.
He's in traffic, helicopter 965, 4 to the south, the whole 2000.
Engine failure. What are you going to do about it?
Oh, I'm looking for a place to land.
No. What's first thing? What are you going to do about
Get
it?
to my glide speed.
Good. Okay, what else?
Which I'm trimming for.
Okay,
I'm looking for a place to put down.
okay,
And you just told me that there was a place behind us.
okay. What next?
I want to stay at my glide speed,
Yep,
and I want to try to get to that landing spot.
okay. What next?
I want to make sure, I want to see if I got fuel,
Okay, so what would you do?
air and spark. I want to make sure that my fuel's on both,
Okay,
and I want to do
Mixture.
my mag test.
Mixture. Mixture would need to be full rich. Maybe the mixture was too lean, right?
Okay, mixture's
then-
full reach.
Okay, then what?
Carb heat.
Good. Then what? You already said it. You would play with the mag switch.
Right,
see
mag
if you
switch.
could. Okay.
We don't want to do that now.
No. We want to talk through these things
Right,
so that we
right.
know what we're doing. That's what you'd have to tell an examiner on a check rod, what you would do. You wouldn't obviously do it. Okay, so having done all that, what's next?
Well, if we started,
We didn't start it.
we didn't start. We're looking to land.
Okay, so what are we going to do? What are some things we're going to do?
We're going to get to our downwind key position.
Good. What's our downwind key position? Which way we want to land? This way or that way?
We want to land this way.
Good.
So that means we're coming into our key position right now.
Okay.
And we're still at glide speed.
What else can we do on terminate? How about letting ATC know what's going on?
yes,
7700.
right,
How about
communicate.
making a mayday call?
Right, right,
Okay,
right.
now pull out the checklist. On the back of it, you'll see engine failure in flight,
Right.
power loss in flight.
Power loss in flight. Best glide. We're there. Carb heat on. We should have that on.
Yep.
Because we're below the RPMs. I'm still heading towards where we're going. I lost it. Okay, there it is. Best glide, carb heat on. Note the wind direction and velocity. Pick a landing site. Mixture full rich. Fuel selector. Fuel primers locked. Magneto check all and masters on.
Okay. Checklist away and continue getting down to your spot. So, where do you want to be at that downwind key position at? What altitude?
I want to be at pattern altitude,
Good.
1,000 feet above ground level.
So what do you think that's going to be on your altimeter around here?
Around here, it's probably going to be the same as Blairstown, which is about 1,400.
Okay, so you got how much altitude to spare right now?
Oh, I got, where am I? I got 1,000 feet.
Okay, so you may want to do a turn here. Get turned around and come back on that downwind key position. You may want to do a right 360, or you could do a left 360 if you wanted to.
At what bank angle? Does it matter?
Well, yeah, it matters, because increased bank angle increases stall speed, so you want to be careful with the bank angle.
Right.
But ideally it won't be too steep, but if you have to get turned around to get your ground track right, then you're just going to have to judge how close you are by feel to that stall.
Right.
Check the traffic, Scott. Simulated engine out to 24 Trinka. Okay, we got to keep that turn coming now, because now we're going the wrong way.
Right.
So we're on top of the downwind key position right now, but heading in the wrong direction. So that turn coming. And remember the wind, where the wind's coming from, it's coming out of the west. It's going to keep us from getting to that runway. I'm going to warm the engine every once in a while here.
Right.
Keep that turn coming. You have no power, you're not going to make the field if you dilly-dally too long. Better to be high than low. Keep that turn coming. Get right on that base leg from here. You're at pattern altitude. Trinka traffic, Skyhawk left base, 24, simulated engine out, Trinka. Okay, shortest distance between the two points is a straight line, so if you're concerned about making it, head right for that field. If you think you have plenty altitude, then do a normal base. Once you know you have the field made, you can start deploying your flaps. Legal check. 4 compass here. 5 miles. Trinka traffic, Skyhawk final, 24, simulated engine out, Trinka. Legal. Now you're holding your best glide speed all the way till now. Don't start diving for the runway, picking up a lot of speed.
Right. Okay. All right, I think at this point we have the field made.
I would agree. Remember what those flaps do to you now. One of our early lessons, they balloon you. There you go. Okay, you made the field with no problem. Go around. Power up, pitch up, clean up. Power up, pitch up, get that nose under control. Get the nose under control with right rudder and nose down pitch. You don't want to do a power on stall. That's why we just practiced the power on stall. Get that nose under control, both in terms of its pitch attitude and its directional movement. Right rudder and nose down pressure to keep it from going excessively high. Power up, pitch up, then clean up. You don't have to worry about getting those flaps up first. Okay. Power up, get that nose under control. When you have that done, then bring it up to about 20 degrees because it helps give you some lift at 20.
Right.
Just get it out of the 40. And then get a climb going and then milk them up the rest of the way. Okay, so that was a good job there from altitude. See how much time you have to figure things out?
A lot of time.
Yeah. And we weren't all that high. We were about, what?
2,400.
When we started it, no, we were leveled out at 4,000 when I pulled the power right.
Right.
Okay, head to Blairstown, Delaware Water Gap out there, and climb to 3,000 feet.
Over traffic, Skyhawk is 1 mile to the northeast, 3,200 northwestbound, over traffic.
Okay, 3,000 feet, 80 knots, heading of about west towards the gap. Whenever you're ready, let me see a steep turn in each direction. 3,000 feet, 80 knots. Triple ACT, area's good, altitude is good, airspeed's good, clearing turns. Give me a right and left turn to clear the airspace real quick here. Coordinated aileron and rudder on those turns, or right rudder on a right turn. Okay, it's clear left.
Okay.
It's clear right, back to a west heading, 3,000 feet, 80 knots. Nice and smooth, steep turns. 45-degree bank angle, maintaining altitude and airspeed, rolling out on a west heading.
Okay.
One to the left first.
Left first?
Yep. Looking outside, peeking inside. A little more bank angle for 45. A little more bank angle. Bring it in there, 45 degrees. That line, airplane wing has to be on that bottom line. That's it, which will require a little more back pressure. Nice job holding altitude. We want to see that 45-degree bank in there though, and just gained a little airspeed at the end there, because as you put it into 45, you can lose more lift, the nose drops more, you need more back pressure, you didn't put it in, so it picked up speed. Give me one to the right. Watch that nose position on the right turn. You've gained 200 feet already because that nose is so high. You're still climbing. 500 feet a minute. Hit that nose on the horizon.
Wow, it's a big difference from the right to the left.
Yes, it is, because the left turning tendencies are pulling the nose up in effect.
Big difference.
You need a lot more right rudder in a right turn, but you need less back pressure.
Yeah, okay.
Watch your speed. Roll out and try that one again when you get set up. Don't rush the maneuver. 4,000 feet, or 3,000 feet, 80 knots. Plane has great heat, doesn't it?
Yeah, we're real comfortable up here.
Okay, 3,000 feet, 80 knots, west heading, whenever you're ready. Steep turn to the right. A lot of right rudder and a right-hand turn. There you go. That's a good nose position. Look at the vertical speed. Very little descent. Now a little descent starting because of all the bank angle, but just pull out a little bit of that bank angle and then put in a little more back pressure. Okay, now split the difference between the first one and the last one, and you'll have it just right. To get that bank angle in, you need a little bit more back pressure because of all the lift being diverted sideways. If you keep that nose right about where it needs to be on the horizon, everything else follows suit and works out.
Traffic, Piper Sport 714,
3,000 feet, 80 knots.
About to enter a left.
Remember, if you're in a real steep bank, picking up airspeed, the way to correct it is not to pull back, lose
power.
Get out of that steep bank, because if you pull more on in a steep bank, you'll just tighten the turn.
Right.
3,000 feet, 80 knots, whenever you're ready. Right rudder and a right-hand turn. Looking looking outside, peeking inside. Everything's good so far, just keep it up now. Looking outside, peeking inside, this one's very good, keep it up. Got bank angle in there, keep that pitch attitude correct. Nice one. You see how if it's nice, subtle movements instead of...
Yep.
It's little pressures, it's not even movements, it's little pressures. Engine failure, what are you going to do about it?
First I'm going to get to our glide speed. And now I'm looking for an airport. I'm looking for a place to land, and I think Blairstown is here someplace. I don't remember exactly where.
Yeah, you see the hangars out there?
Yes, now I see them. Okay.
It's right off the nose, so how many miles away is it?
Well, if we're at 3,000 feet, that's 3 miles away.
Should we get there?
Oh, absolutely.
Then let's go for Blairstown, okay?
Okay.
What are you going to do? Best glide speed, you've got it. Observe and fly to landing area, you've got it. What's next?
See if we get the engine back started.
Yeah, so go through your progressions.
Go through our fuel.
Yeah.
Mixture, air, carburetor.
Okay.
And then spark, magneto, power.
Didn't get it started. What are you doing now?
We're still coming in for a landing. We're going to tell them on the radio that we're coming in for a
Blairstown traffic. Skyhawk, have a simulated engine out. We're trying to make the field. We're a couple miles to the east. Okay. Mayday, mayday, mayday. What else?
200. We'll be through the air.
We're going to try to get to a key position. Oh no, right, 7,700.
Okay. All the while we're trying to get to a key position. But do we have the altitude to get to a key position? Do we have the altitude to get to a downwind from here? Or should we just do a modified base to final and forget about a downwind key position from here? What runway do we want to use?
We want to use 25.
Okay. The downwind keys are over there, right? Going this way.
Right.
We're already over here. We only got 500 feet left to pattern altitude. So why don't we do a modified base to final from right here?
Right.
I told you, you're not always going to have the altitude to do a downwind key. Okay? So here you're not going to use a downwind key. There's not enough altitude to get all the way to the downwind and turn around.
Right.
Keep heading towards that field. We don't want to come up short. Stay high till you know you have the field made. Blairstown traffic, Skyhawk is left base to final, simulated engine out to 25, Blairstown. Yeah, you're at pattern altitude, you're a couple of miles out. You're looking pretty good. Best glide speed, 65, not 75. Now you can start making some decisions. Well, I'm at pattern altitude, I'm on final, and I'm not too far from the runway. Is it time for flaps?
I think so.
Let's do it. Watch the pitch as you deploy flaps.
Right.
Let that nose balloon. You'll get real slow real quick. 65. That nose down to hold 65. You're holding 55. Full flap configuration. Power's at idle. What else could you do here? How about a forward slip? Yaw the nose to the left, bank it to the right, and we're going to come down like a rock without picking up a lot of airspeed. Okay, wind's coming from that way, so let's go ahead and bank it into the wind. So we'll yaw it to the right, we'll bank it to the left. Watch our vertical speed increase.
Yep, I see it.
Okay, bring it down for a power off landing here. We'll make the field with no problem. Now start getting that nose aligned with the runway as we get lower here. Got to kick out the crab with right rudder and bank into the crosswind with left aileron. Get the nose down the runway. Don't be yawing back and forth like that so low to the ground. Get that nose down the runway. Okay, right-hand turn. Let's do another one. Fly more with your feet. Keep that nose staying where you want it to be. Don't let the wind push it back and forth on you close to the ground. Okay, so you saw one power off landing where we got to the downwind key position. You saw another one where we didn't. Now on these power off landings, ideally, you can pick up the taxi speed a little bit. Ideally, we want to not have to use power. Bring it in to a landing without power, but we don't want to sacrifice the airplane. So if you need to add power in order to flare because you flared too high and you're going to drop in, we go ahead and we add power. Clean up the airplane after landing. All right, let's run UF gets, back it up with the written checklist.
Undercarriage, flaps, gas.
You want to try 10 degrees of flaps this time?
Sure.
Okay, undercarriage, flaps, gas.
Trim set for takeoff.
Engine.
Carburetor heat off.
Good. Trim, seats, belts, doors, lights, camera, action, pre-takeoff checklist.
Pre-takeoff checklist. Alright, belts and harness, flaps are up. We're 10 degrees we're choosing. Avionics is on and set. Transponder on altitude. Automated weather.
Town Airport, automated weather observation at 1756 Zulu. Visibility 10, altimeter 3046. Weather advisories, wind 240 at 8, temperature -8 Celsius, density altitude missing.
Okay, ready for takeoff?
Taxi lights?
Yep. Blairstown traffic, Skyhawk departing 25, closed traffic, Blairstown.
Okay. Lights, camera, action?
Yes, sir. Now hold that center line during this takeoff roll.
Yeah.
Focus all the way down at the end of the runway and make smooth pressures, put smooth pressures on the rudder pedals in order to hold that center line. You also have a crosswind from the left, so you're going to start with a left aileron deflection and roll that out a little bit. As the ailerons become more effective with the airflow going over them as we pick up speed here. Feet are off the brakes, full power within 5 seconds. RPM looks good, oil pressure looks good, taking out some of that deflection, staying on that center line. Airspeed's alive, there's rotation speed, back pressure, and there you go. Get that nose going where you want it. Don't let that nose yaw over there to the left. Right rudder keeps the ball in the center, 71 knots. What happens is the minute it takes off, it's going to start weather vaning into the wind.
Right.
If you don't
do something
about it, right. You can set a crab angle to climb out once you have a little bit of altitude. So since the wind's coming from there, that's where we're going to be crabbed. We're still holding right rudder even though we're turned to the left because one has nothing to do with the other. The right rudder is to avoid the left turning tendencies, and the crab is just to nullify the crosswind. There you go. If you look behind you, you'll see we're holding the center line. Go ahead and look behind you. We're holding the center line, but we're crabbed a little bit. Don't turn it as you look. We're crabbed a little bit to the south. Okay? Turn crosswind. Sorry? Turn crosswind. Blairstown traffic, Skyhawk turn left crosswind 25 Blairstown. Gonna level out at pattern altitude here on the crosswind left, 1,400 feet and 80 knots. You gotta get your flaps up too if you took off with any, and you're not up yet, go ahead and put them up. Level out at 1,400 feet and 80 knots. When you're halfway up the wing strut from the runway, turn your downwind. And remember, you may need to crab on the downwind if the wind is going to push you. And since it's coming from there, it's most likely going to push you.
Crossing the active.
Most likely going to push you towards the runway, so you got to be crabbed a little bit to the right. Okay, gumps check.
Yes, undercarriage. Mixture, full rich. Want to stay at pattern altitude.
Prop doesn't apply. Gas undercarriage mixture prop. Seat belts are on. Okay, get on a downwind here. Coordinated aileron and rudder. Just stop using just aileron when you make right-hand turns. Rudder.
Blairstown traffic, when he's clearly active.
Okay, we're going to do a power off 180 from here. This is the downwind key position. Power to idle. Pitch for best glide. And immediately turn towards that base leg. Base key position, you'll just judge how you're doing. Is that wind holding you back? Do you need to turn right to the runway? Can you dilly-dally? Can you add flaps? Blairstown traffic, Skyhawk left base, simulated engine out to 25 Blairstown. How you looking?
I'm looking a little high.
Okay, start dumping flaps then. Best glide. Best glide. 65, not 55. 65. Okay, get your right hand on the throttle because that's good technique even with an engine out.
Right.
Blairstown traffic, Skyhawk final 25, Blairstown. Flaps in full?
No.
Lower that nose as you add flaps or you balloon. Right rudder now. Get that nose down the runway. Right rudder. There you go. And a little left aileron. And now flare it on. That's the downwind key position. That's what we want to get to all the time, unless we can't. Then we do whatever we need to, like we did coming in here. All right, you want to bring it to the ramp?
Sure. Got a plane down the end there.
Yeah. Now notice how much right rudder we needed to get that nose down the runway. Got to fly with your feet. If you just use your ailerons when you're flying, adverse yaw makes the nose go like this near the ground. You need to keep those feet moving. Blairstown traffic, Skyhawk crossing the runway to the ramp. Blairstown.
Blairstown traffic, Mooney is departing 25, Blairstown.
We did 2 landings here, right?
Yes.
We'll pull it right into our spot. That's good.
Okay. Report shutdown?
Well, not yet.
No.
You got things to shut off
traffic,
first.
my
First
is
of all,
departing to the west.
needs to be on 1,000. You got lights to shut off, you got radio equipment to shut off. So start on the panel over there, hit all your light switches.
1, 2.
That one we leave on, yep. You don't need carb heat on. That should be off after landing. Make sure your flaps are up. But that's why we run across the panel like that, to check those things.
Okay,
Then flow on down to your trim.
Trim set for takeoff.
Flow up to your autopilot switch, make sure that's down. And then you're ready for your radio master.
Let's go flying again. I wanted to do ground ref maneuvers.
Are we flying again?
I'm kidding.
Plug my
It's the only thing we didn't do on my list.
What's that?
Ground ref maneuvers. That's okay.
Yeah, I know where the ground is.
All we need to do is plug it in and tie it down because I got somebody coming out at 1:30.
Okay. This head's frozen solid.
What?
That head's frozen solid. Inside, there's water inside. There's a frozen solid. They're plugged.